Hello everyone, welcome to FedScoop TV. I'm your host Greg Otto, and we're here with our Public Sector Innovation Series, and I'm talking with Ray O'Farrell, the Senior Vice President and Chief Technology Officer for VMware. Ray, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Greg. Very nice to be here.
So, being the CTO of VMware, obviously a private sector job, but we focus mainly on public sector IT and enterprises. What do you see as the main difference between what you do and what goes on inside the public sector?
Actually, maybe even not focusing on the differences is focusing on the similarities. I meet a lot of customers, most of whom are private sector, everything from banking to large enterprises, and then kind of middle ground, hospitals, that sort of a thing, right? Where they're trying to offer both things. And you get very common themes. They need to do more with less. They want to figure out how to embrace new technology. Everybody is focusing on how do I best leverage digital technology, or the so-called digital transformation, to make their organizations more efficient. And when you meet with the public sector customers or partners, you see the same thing coming up. How do I leverage these technologies? How can I really embrace this innovation to become better at what I do? Where I do tend to see differences is a little bit on the focus. The focus from the public sector often tends to have a greater emphasis on security, often tends to have a greater emphasis on what I would call caution around the stability of what they do. They're dealing directly with citizens, or they're dealing directly, if it's a healthcare, with patients and so on. And so because of that, you get this little bit of I guess a bit more caution about what risk am I going to take here. That's the primary difference, I would say. But the themes, the technology, what they want to do, very, very common.
What can the public sector teach the private sector about innovation?
I think one of the challenges that the public sector often has when it comes to innovation is they are often constrained, both either from a budget point of view or from the point of view of constrained because of security or rules and regulations. And I think that means sometimes they need to put a lot of focus on what is the best way to innovate within those constraints. I think because of that, you see they have very different approach sometimes about how technology is introduced. They will tend to do it in a somewhat more careful, incremental fashion. Sometimes on the private sector, people embrace a whole bunch of new technology or a new process only to discover, oh, that's not quite working out the way that I thought it would. The public sector tends to be more cautious, and sometimes that's actually a good advice when introducing new innovation. So I think the recognition, that the public sector brings that innovation is not just about how quickly can I get a new piece of technology in place, but you got to factor in the people and the process and the end customers and what that end result will be, quite often operating in a constrained environment. So I think that's an experience that much of the private sector doesn't necessarily have to worry about, but also can leverage some of the learnings from what occurs there.
So that incremental introduction that the public sector has to deal with, one of those technologies is cloud.
Yes.
So what do you see with respect to the cloud when it comes to the public sector? How do you see that evolving?
Yeah. So I just want to clarify when we say cloud. Cloud in some ways is an experience. It's how do I leverage, how do I consume the compute resources, the data in a way that's tied to the sense of a cloud experience, the ability to be able to pay for it as I use it, the ability to be able to expand and contract as I need it. A very easy onboarding process. I just want to get started, I just want to use a little bit, and cloud, that experience helps you do that. So it can be both a private cloud and a public cloud. And I think in terms of that incremental approach to it, in fact, many public sector clients are very anxious to leverage cloud,
right.
At least that experience, because they see it as a way of dealing with how can I be more efficient, how can I meet the needs of the agencies that I am dealing with. But on the other hand, they are very constrained from a security and a cost and a regulation point of view. So they've got to really leverage these two things, decide what I can put in a public cloud and what can I keep in my own control and on my own premises, but also make sure that you get the same cloud experience with that. So I think from a public sector point of view, you're very definitely going to see a heavy emphasis on this hybrid model, leveraging some public, leveraging some private, but a drive towards trying to get a common user interface, a common cloud-like experience across both of those things.
Great. Great. Ray, thanks for talking with us today. Appreciate your insight.
Thank you very much.
For all of our videos, check out our YouTube channel, and for more information, check out fedscoop.com. I'm Greg Otto. Thanks for watching.